Welcome back to Cat Attacks Life, guys. I'm Kat, and this podcast is about anything within this 3D experience we call life. So, covering various topics like mental health, the human connection, spirituality, and everything in between. If that sounds like something you're into, don't forget to subscribe to get notifications on when new episodes release here on YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. Okay, so this is a very special episode. I'm going to have one of my favorite people on. We talk about a bunch of different things, get into it. It's kind of lengthy, but everything that we mention in here is so worth it. And I hope you guys listen till the end. All right, so without further ado, let's get into this brand new episode of Cat Attacks Life. I'm gonna let her introduce herself in a second, but please give a warm welcome to the show, Miss Chelsea.
Hello.
Hi, yay!
Woo!
Go ahead and introduce yourself, Chelsea. What do you do? What are you about?
What am I about?
What do you like?
So many different things. Honestly, I'm like what you would consider jack of all trades, I guess. You know, like I have my main 9-to-5 job that pays the bills. I make jewelry. I teach yoga. I'm into like health. I'm somewhat of a health coach. So there's a lot of different things that I do, I guess. But my main thing is just wellness, like overall, all aspects of life, like mental, physical, spiritual, all of the things.
I love that. So she's nervous. I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, but there's wine out here for a reason.
I'm not nervous. I'm not rubbing a worry stone. No, none of that. None of that is happening. We're good.
Why are you nervous?
I'm not nervous. I don't know.
Why were you nervous in the beginning? Okay, yeah.
Listen,
Why was that?
I don't like being recorded, I guess. It just feels like too raw. Like I feel like if it was just audio, I wouldn't be tripping as much. But the fact that like there's a camera to the right, I'm like,
say
don't
hi.
Look at it.
Hi, YouTube. Hello.
I don't want to look at it. That's about it. I think I'm just a little bit self-conscious.
Okay. That's okay. Because we are all accepting here. We do not judge. It's like Planet Fitness.
For sure. Planet Fitness.
The judgment-free zone. All right. So for this podcast, I plan to talk about like a few different things. We're going to get into so many topics, and then Chelsea is all about wellness, so we're definitely going to get into like health and what that means for both of us, our history with that, and then overcoming different things coming from that. I want to have this in here, but like, you know, we've been around each other for a year.
I know, right?
We've been working.
Such a trip.
We've been working around each other for almost a year.
Literally.
My year is in March. So
my year was in December, at the end of December. So it's been a year and a month now, ish. Two months, basically.
And then I remember you coming up to me on Halloween with candy.
Oh my
and
God.
Fun of us.
It took a minute for me to remember.
Yeah, no.
Right.
I was just chilling there. And then you're like, you want some candy?
So here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing with that candy. We're supposed to, it's called roving, right? It's like a marketing tactic. So we're supposed to go around and like talk to the people there and like try to get them to come up. And sometimes they're not as receptive. And so for me, it's easier to approach the employees because I know you guys are down to talk to me. You know what I mean? So that's why I was just like, hey.
You know what was funny though? I got candy from you. I was like, cool. Candy. And then someone came over and I was like, they were like, where'd you get that candy? I was like, that's from her. And they're like, we didn't get any candy. I was like, oh, am I special?
I didn't like go up to like every single person, but you know, I don't know.
They were like, I want candy.
I think I can't remember who else. There was like one other person that was like standing over there that I gave some to, but it's fine.
No, and then there's more to that story. That's not the end. No.
What?
I was at this, like, it was upstairs, and then you were walking through. I hadn't seen you in a minute, so I was like, oh, like, how have you been? Where have you been?
Right.
And
I was in pedestrian clothing.
Yeah. I was like, what? Are you okay? And then you're like, no, like, I do this now. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then we got into like, yoga, your card, the rest is history.
And I was like, I don't have one on me, but I'll be right back.
And I was like,
I'll get you one.
Yeah, I hope I'm still in this position.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, this is going to suck if I literally went all the way downstairs to grab this and then she's gone. I don't know what's going to happen.
And the rest is history. That literally was it. And then I contacted you and then we got into talking and then
the beginning of the end.
All that stuff. That was literally from this. It's like the first week of February as I record this, but that was like a month ago.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Wow. Really?
Can you believe that? Yeah.
No. Wow.
only a month
feels
ago.
like
It's only been
longer.
like, I
It
know,
feels,
right?
It feels way longer,
I feel
honestly.
like I've known you for a minute.
Right. I mean, technically,
Yeah.
like, we've known of each other, but I guess not to that extent.
And then it was like, it was this. It was
Yeah.
this. It was cool. I credit you a lot. So Valentine's Day is coming up.
It is.
What is your perspective on
My
Valentine's
perspective
Day?
on
What do
Valentine's
you
Day is
think
that
of
it's
it?
fucking bullshit. Sorry, excuse my French.
Why?
Listen, I think it's just like another thing that like Western America does to capitalize on shit. Like they just want you to buy
True.
shit. They just want you to buy
Chocolate.
teddy bears and chocolates and like all these different things and like make your significant other feel special or whatever. And there's so much pressure on these people to do certain things. And if you don't do this, then you're in trouble or whatever. Like I hate it. I hate all of that. I wish that like it wasn't such a thing. I don't know. I mean, I do have a boyfriend that I live with and like I love very much, but I don't want it to be a thing where it's like we put this pressure on each other and it's like if you don't do this, like I'm going to be mad at you, you know what I mean? So, whatever. Like I just want it to be like a hike or something like casual. Like I don't want to like go out to dinner and spend like $200 just because we feel like however much money we spend on each other is how much we love. You know what I mean? Like I don't like
I feel
that. So, yeah.
Personally, the idea of Valentine's Day to me is super sweet. Like the whole notion of like love.
So opposite.
No. I don't care about spending the money. I don't care about doing these things. But like the whole like, oh, show each other that we appreciate each other. It's like one of those highlights where everyone's like, oh, well, you can do that every day, okay? But people don't. That's the thing.
Okay. That's a good point.
That's the thing
That's a good
about it.
point.
It's just a reminder to be like, yo, I care about you. You know what I mean? And that's for my friends too. Like all my friends are excited for Valentine's Day. We're gonna give each other like cute little like chocolates or whatever. And it's just like showing each other that we care.
Right. I see your perspective.
You see my point of view?
I see your point of
my
view.
POV?
And it's, yeah, I get that. But I don't know. I don't like pressure, I guess.
Yeah. Don't get pressured. People, I do it because I want to.
Yeah.
I don't want anything back. I don't care. So,
Yeah, for sure.
spoiler alert. I'm going to get something right now soon. Love.
I don't know. I'm not really a romantic, I guess. That's what it comes down to.
Learned a lot about you already, Josie. It's all good. It's all good. All right. So yeah, covering different topics here today. Because I have guests on for specific reasons. My last one was my tattoo artist. We talked about tattoos, his history, his like the way he grew up with it, and the way he had learned and skill and trade, and like he's pretty. He's a veteran in what he does. So I wanted to learn more about that. Go ahead and explain, like, how was your like your first initial
come to it? Yeah. So
what was your coming to?
All right. So I feel like a lot of us, there's like a past, right? There's like a little bit more of a darkness, I guess you could say. So for me, it started in towards the end of middle school, beginning of high school. I had a lot of, negative self-image and self-doubt and like comparison to everyone else. And so there was a lot of negativity towards myself. And I was just unhealthy in the way that I perceived myself and the relationship that I had with myself and how I took care of myself and like all of these things was not the best, right? So I would like to give a lot of credit to my high school yoga club starter teacher. Her name was Susan Ross, and she started the first yoga club at my high school. And I remember going there and feeling super out of place and like I was laughing. I couldn't take it seriously and whatever. Time moves on and I really became enamored with this practice. Like yoga really is what I could say. Like, I don't want to sound cliche and be like, yoga saved my life. But like, honestly, it really put me on a path to self-forgiveness and just like discovering and understanding and all that good stuff. So that's kind of how I came upon that. And I just noticed like I just felt so good after my practice and like one thing leads to another, like physical movement led to the intake. So like the nutrition part of it and like the health part of it, it all goes hand in hand, right? Like it's all a part of one big circle. So that was how I got started. It was in high school yoga. Fast forward 2017, 2018, I did my first teacher training with True Fusion. It's a yoga studio here in Vegas. They have a bunch of different locations. I did my 200-hour teacher training. I graduated in 2018, and then I did my wellness nutrition. So it's the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. It's based out of New York. That was like a year-long process that I did. So I am a certified integrative nutrition health coach, and it's really a specific part of like wellness. So it's not so much of like a dietitian, right? It's not specifically just nutrition. It's kind of like life coach meets dietitian. So it's not one or the other. It's the whole thing. And that's kind of what like made me understand that health is not singular. Health is not like symptom based, right? It's the full picture. Like it's like your life, it's your career, it's your finances, what you eat, how you move. Like it's literally this. There's 12 steps to it. Technically, there's like 12 aspects that we look at. So yeah, it all just kind of came full circle once I realized that everything was connected, basically.
This is advanced language for a lot of people who aren't really familiar with health in general, right? You know how the country we live in isn't really, it does not look picture perfect by all means. Yeah. What is your take on how society views health?
Specifically Western culture, right?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I have a very personal connection to this because of my family. So specifically my father and my mother. My dad has gone through a lot of health issues, prostate cancer, colon cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, all of the things, right? And it's something in the Western culture that is not viewed as, they don't see it from the holistic perspective. They see it as symptom-based management, right? So it's about
medicine.
What?
And like medicines.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the biggest thing. Like it really makes me so upset because it's just they're putting a temporary Band-Aid on one thing, and then that kind of is a domino effect. So like, he's been on this medication for his diabetes for however long, and now he's developing all these different side effects. And it's just kind of, I feel like Western culture as a whole really has this as the deep-rooted issue. And so a lot of my inspiration comes from like Eastern culture and like more like, like more ancient studies, essentially, like when it comes to like Ayurveda and like things like that. We'll get into that a little bit later, but it's just really, it's frustrating to see that Western culture focuses so much on the medication. Like, they talk about big pharma and all these different things. And it's kind of true, man. Like, it's literally just like, hey, it's convenience, right? It's like, hey, take this pill and you're good. You'll be fine. You just have to take this pill for the rest of your life. You don't have to take responsibility. You don't have to realize that what you're eating is what's causing this disease. No, we have the answer here for you. And so it's like, that is the biggest thing. I feel like it comes to just having that realization that what you put in your body is what's causing these issues, and you can't go outside of yourself to get the cure. It has to come from within.
That's interesting because I think America is built on convenience.
100%.
Convenience, everything. Fast everything.
Fast food. That's what revolutionized.
Fast stimulation, fast food, fast just get it and go. This goes for our health.
Yeah,
that's
unfortunately,
sad.
It's really sad, but it's like, I can even relate to that. Like sometimes, I have all these things I need to do, and I'm rushing, and I gotta go, and I don't food prep or whatever, and so it's like, well, I'm hungry. I mean, I'm not just gonna starve. Like I guess I gotta buy something.
I'm just gonna buy a giant watermelon, crush it somewhere, and hopefully that's my lunch. Like that's convenient, right?
Not at all. For sure. But yeah, I think that's really what it comes down to is learning how to manage your time and how to like manage your own expectations of like what your body needs, and like just trying to not fall into that trap of,
that's what's crazy about society right now. We make it so difficult to pay attention to ourselves. We make it so hard to take care of ourselves first. And health is probably the last thing people want to like. They have anxieties, they have like family things going through, maybe some kind of like tragedy happening, or you lose someone, or like, or you just don't have the right resources, like you don't make enough money, you're working all these hours, you don't have time. So everything is at this fast pace because we're all focused on this like routine of, oh, I have to be here for 10 hours. Then tomorrow I'm exhausted. Oh, I can't take care of myself. I need something fast.
I don't have time.
That's
to go
what that
shopping
is.
and create.
It's just a reverse system, dude.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. And it's crazy because it's like, you know, when it comes to the finances of it, is like healthy food, when it comes to like prepped healthy food, right? It's a little bit overpriced. Like I'll get like a juice and like a salad and like a side of something, and it's like $20-$30 just for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see how other people can be like, you know, that's out of my budget or whatever. But what people don't realize, it's like when you go to a store, say you buy like this giant package of just like lentils or kidney beans or chickpeas or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, that's like $1, $2. And that can last you 2 weeks if you know, prepare it for yourself. It's just, it's taking that convenience factor out of it. Your food's not perfectly packaged for you. And that's something that I kind of want to talk about, is like the unpackaged food diet.
Yes.
Like that's like the healthiest perspective to have, I guess. It's like when you start eating real food, like food from the earth, it doesn't matter the calories that are in it or like how much you're consuming. When it's natural and it's from the earth, like you're good. You don't have to worry about the number, you know? So that's just, that's a pretty big thing.
It is a big thing. Oh, already, like it's a lot. What is your like biggest piece of advice? And I gotta get for like, there's gonna be more advice pieces later in this episode, but like, what is your biggest piece of advice for those people who just want to get started? Okay, first of all, invoking change is hard, so congrats. Right. What is your advice for those people who are like, okay, I gotta claim my life back a little bit? What do I do?
I would say stop. Just stop. Take a moment and connect to your body. Connect to yourself. Listen. Your body will tell you how it feels if you're just willing to listen. It's being intuitive. It's having this internal wisdom of like, my body is trying to tell me something. What is it saying? Right? So say you have a headache and you're just like, man, my head hurts so bad, but you're not taking into account, I haven't had water today. All I had was coffee this morning. I'm overstimulated by my work environment. Like there's so many things that's happening around you that you don't take into account. All you're thinking about is my head hurts. What do? You take an Advil, you take a pill or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to like overcompensate for the fact that you haven't set yourself up for success. So the first thing I would say is just stop and evaluate what you're doing. Listen to your body. Be intuitive and just go from there. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's so much more I could say.
Yeah, of course. That's a good way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, just listen.
It's different for me because I did grow up in a family that didn't really care about their health like that. Like you said, it was all convenience and like, you know, Filipino culture, we're all about the food and we're all about the eating and we're all about, you know what I mean? All cultures are very similar,
I'm 100%
right? No, that's
Mexican,
true.
like.
So the culture is definitely like a big factor of why we also don't eat as well as we do. Growing up, like, I guess, I don't want to call anyone out, like, but the genes in our family pool were not, you know, having us like be skinny or like, you know what I mean? Like,
yes. Yes.
You know, so it was like, okay, yes. Grew up that way, and it kind of like getting really big, and then my brother too, and like just different family members, just a big like wake up call for me. Plus I had other things that I wanted to do. So for me it was like, okay, I gotta put this shit into motion because like I have goals. So every single person's journey is definitely going to be different,
right,
when it comes to like health.
Right.
I remember starting and I had no clue what I was doing. No clue. I just knew like, okay, I had to lose weight. I'm gonna lose weight right now. It was the summer of sophomore year. And I was like, what do I do? Like just Googling stuff. What do I do? What do I eat? Whatever. And it was bad because I was just sleeping the whole time. I was just sleeping the whole time and like getting up to eat once and then went back to bed. It's not like, healthy.
If I'm not awake, I don't have to eat.
Yeah, like, no, don't do what I do. Don't do what
terrible.
I do. It is terrible. But listen, no, I'm not going to justify it. But like, it was bad for me. But like for me to feel like good about myself was like the number going down. So the scale was a big part of that well. Yeah.
Oh man. I feel like we've all been there. I've been there. You know, my mom is still there. She like it's really sad that a minuscule number on a scale defines your self-worth for
Yeah.
the day. And I know how that feels. You know what I mean? It's like you let that rule your life, and like disconnecting from that is not easy.
Nope.
But
Not at
once
all.
but once you realize that there's like so much more to health than just a number, just your weight, like once you realize it's about like your energy level or how you feel, like again, like being intuitive with your body, like how you feel matters more than what the number looks like, right? Like once you understand that, a whole
That's what I'm
world
saying,
of possibilities.
The beginning
opens
starts
up.
with that number.
Yes,
And
unfortunately.
when you're in a place where you have no outside sources or help, Google will only give you what you're looking for.
Right.
So
what you type in.
Yes. So it's going to be difficult for some people to live. That's like kind of more as we move forward, like kind of advanced in a sense, listen to your body. But
Yeah.
we start with a scale.
Of course.
And it's difficult because I do remember days where it's just like I woke up, the first thing I did was step on the scale.
Mm-hmm.
And if my mood depended on that.
I know, girl.
Do you
I know.
understand? Like how bad that is. That
it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that it is such a harsh reality for a lot of people, myself included. Like I get it, but
Yeah.
there's so much more to it, and I think that's where like that intuition really comes into play, because it's like, what does it matter if the number went down, whatever, 30 points? But you have no energy. Your hair is falling out. Your nails are fragile. Like, oh, but the number looked good, right? That's what mattered. No,
That's
like that, and
dangerous.
that's where that intuition comes. It's like really listening to your body. Like, what is it trying to tell me? Like, obviously, I'm not giving it the adequate nutrition for it to grow these things. My hair, my nails, whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like the number at that point is completely irrelevant.
Right.
So.
Question. What's more important to start, the movement or the eating?
The eating, 100%. Everybody says abs are made in the kitchen, right? Yep. It's literally 80% diet, 20% movement. Movement matters as well, just for, circulation and like all that good stuff. But it's what you put into your body, like 99.9%. That's what matters for sure.
Yeah, everyone does the backwards thing.
Mm-hmm. You're like, I need to work out. You could work out 7 hours a day and do 1,000 push-ups a day, 1,000 abs. But if you're eating cheeseburgers and milkshakes or whatever, like it's not gonna matter. It's not gonna matter. You're gonna feel like shit, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah. What are your opinions on New Year's resolutions?
New Year's resolutions.
The gym. Let's talk specifically.
Let's talk gym. So here's the thing. I think that intention is everything, right? So I think that New Year's resolutions are important because you're kind of coming to a crossroads with yourself, and you're telling yourself, this is what I want to do moving forward. This is who I want to be moving forward. But resolutions don't mean anything if there's no consistency or there's no intention behind it, right? So I think it really all just comes down to intention. Like this is a little bit off topic, but when it comes to stones, like healing stones and stuff like that, it's like some people say it can like cure whatever, and some people say like that's just the placebo effect. But when it comes to the placebo effect, it's literally just that, it's your intention. And I think there's something so important to say about that. Like when you look at randomized double-blind study trials, right? You have the placebo and then you have the actual thing. And there's a lot of studies that the placebo people have gotten better because it all comes down to your mind. Like the biology of belief is so powerful. So intention plus like whatever you want to call it, as long as there's that mental connection to what you want to happen, like manifestation, right? Like you create something in your mind, it's happening, and then it does. And so it's like, I think there's something really important to be said there about just intention.
Yeah.
Intentional living.
You're a professional. And
in what sense?
In a sense. When knowing all this, and it's from experience though,
right.
You wouldn't, but people listening to this right now would have trouble understanding the beginning and the end of feeling like, okay, maybe this is how I do it. Because it takes a lot of adjustment as well. Like, you don't just start off eating healthy and working out correctly. You know
and
what
knowing
I mean?
what healthy
exactly.
is, too. Like,
and what your body needs, or like what... It takes a lot of like trial and error. It really does.
And here's exactly where I want to go with that trial and error, right? So I think my background, so I have an associate's, it's not much, but of environmental science. So I come from a science-based background, right? And that's kind of the biggest thing. It's like, it's an experiment. It's trial and error. It's figuring out what works for you. And when it comes to my health coach training from Integrative Nutrition, that was their biggest point, was that like one person's treasure could be another person's poison, right? Like we all have different blood types. We all have different things that we need. And so you can't have these people, like these like hardcore vegans, whatever, like, because I'm vegetarian, right? I don't eat meat or chicken or whatever, but I'm not over here saying like you need to stop eating this or that or that or that, because I don't know your blood type. I don't know what you thrive on, and you may not know that either. And so the really big thing is experimenting with yourself and just seeing what makes you feel good.
Yep.
And that's kind of how I came to my whole like vegetarian type of thing, was like, sure, it was for the animals and all that compassion and stuff, but it was also just realizing like I feel better. I feel like I have more energy. I don't feel as heavy. I don't feel weighed down. And so for me, it was an experiment. And I really encourage everybody to just experiment for themselves. Like take a week. You say, I'm not going to have dairy this week. I'm not going to have any cheese, any milk. Let's see how I feel. Let's see how my body reacts to it. You know what I mean? It's like you kind of have to just experiment and just see how it goes. So look at it like my advice is to look at it as a science experiment, right? You see what works, you write it down. You see what doesn't work, you write that down. Like you make these notes, and over time you're going to come up with your perfect formula.
Yeah.
You know.
She said over time.
Yeah. And it's not going to be overnight.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a huge thing, is like people think like, I've been doing this for a week.
Oh, we're going to get
like,
into fad diets. Dude. We're going to get into fad diets in a second. But yeah, it's all about, I can't stress. Time, like it's hard. When you first start, you want to get these results, right? And you want to feel good about yourself. You want to feel confident and stuff and feel better about what you're eating or not eating. But like some people, it's really unfortunate because like they depend on that. And that's again going back to the convenience of this needs to happen now. No, you have to
There's
wait.
so many like headlines like lose 20 pounds in 7 days.
With
it's
this
like,
magical
bro,
burning
that
pill.
is so unhealthy. You
Yeah.
don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously. And I've seen it time and time again. You know, it's like it's called yo-yo dieting, right? So you go up, you're feeling like you're on top of the world because you just did this diet and you've lost 20 pounds in 3 days, but that is unsustainable. So when it comes to sustainability, it's like you have to figure out what works for you, what you actually like. Like you're not just going to have cayenne, fucking maple syrup and lemon water for the rest of, and apple cider vinegar. You're not going to just have that for the rest of your life. Like you need to find something that is functional, something that works for you with your life, like your lifestyle. Like you need to find something that really speaks to you and works for you, and the rest will just kind of fall into place. But yeah.
You want to talk about lifestyle? What was the name of the what is it? Ayurveda?
Ayurveda, yeah. So the Ayurvedic science is extremely ancient. So it does come from India. It's like thousands and thousands of years old. It's essentially based off of elements and energy balance. So there's the 3 different types of doshas. There's Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And they each are associated with the different elements. So there's like, you know, fire, water, air, earth, ether, all those good things. And there's a lot of online tests that you can do to see what your dominant dosha is, essentially. But basically, it's all about balance. And it's all about seeing food and seeing herbs and oils and all these different things for more than just the surface level thing. So it's seeing them more for the element that they're associated with and how to balance, right? So I was kind of talking to you about this, like, for example, right? So Pitta is associated with fire. It's the digestive fire. It's all of that stuff. And so if you have an imbalance in your Pitta and you have too much fire in your body and you're constantly eating spicy foods, or you're hot all the time, right? There's all these different things happening. You have all this fire and you're just adding to the fire. That's not going to help balance. You have to do the opposite of that. So you're going to have cooling foods like mint herbs and yogurt and cucumber and things that are like cooling and stuff. So you want to come to a balance. And Ayurveda is very intuitive in the sense that it goes with the cycles of the earth. And so, for example, when it's fall and it's winter, and it's really cold out, like you want to have things that are very rooted, very deep into the earth, like potatoes, sweet potatoes, heavy oils. And when it's summer and it's really hot, you want to have stuff that's refreshing, like salads and fruits and stuff like that. So it goes with the cycles of the earth as well. So it's the cycles of your own body and like the energy that you need to balance it out, and also what's happening around you. It's being intuitive with like what your body needs. Like if you're super hot and you're sweaty, you're not going to have like a hot soup, right? You're going to have like cold water or a fresh salad to make it. So it comes back to that intuition. And I feel like everything that I'm saying right now comes back to having that intuitive sense of your body and being connected with your body and learning how to balance that.
I took that quiz recently.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was Pitta Kappa, I believe. That was mine.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense.
But that's the thing. I like cold food.
Okay.
I hate spicy food.
Yep, that makes sense. That's literally it. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I encourage everybody to take somewhat of like an online quiz and see what your dominant dosha is to find out what herbs and what foods are best for you.
Right on. So we're talking about the aspect of health. That's the good parts about it. We're talking about the bad parts about it.
Okay.
Can't have good without the bad. You
Of
really
course,
cannot
yin and
have the
yang.
good. Yep.
You have to have both.
I think both of us have gone through some kind of like shitty situations,
Oh, for
or
sure.
like just feeling like we needed to do this for this approval. I don't, for
Right.
me personally, that was it. It was all approval. It was all for my goals. It was all like, yeah, I'm doing this thing. Like, check this out. I would post like selfies every day. I don't even know if they're up anymore. But, like, just, you know.
I think I did that too. I think I had
Yeah,
like an Instagram
you know,
that was just like private. It's like a private
Fitspo and
Yeah,
like
Fitspo.
inspiration for the
Fitspo,
day,
Thinspo.
guys. Remember, work hard and like every day.
Oh man.
Let's
All
talk
that
about social
lingo.
media
Social
affecting
media.
our physical health, not just mental health, because that's obviously that's his number.
Honestly, I want to blame Tumblr for my ED. Can I just say that out loud? Like, honestly,
Tumblr,
like,
you're on the list.
It's all about, for me, it was just like self-comparison, right? And like seeing all these like pictures, because I've always been into like fashion and self-expression and all that good stuff, but I would see a lot of these pictures on Tumblr of these girls with like these like perfect thigh gaps and like collarbones and like all these things. And I was like, I can't be perfect if I don't have those things, right? And like you have all of this internal like self-comparison stuff that's so unhealthy, but you don't realize it in the moment. Like in the moment, you're kind of just lost in it. And like I would totally get sucked in. I would be on there for like hours and hours and just, it's a rabbit hole. It's a freaking rabbit hole.
It's so bad. I think social media is like an aid for a lot of things, including that, because we are constantly comparing ourselves.
Yeah.
We are wanting these things that people have, and it is. I stay off of social media. Like I'm on Instagram. Like basically that's it. But everything on Instagram is like what I filter through. Cat videos, and like
literally
different memes. I don't care. I'll send it to friends, but like. People are different, right? We grew up in a social media. We're the ones who originated social media. MySpace. You kidding me?
Yeah, top 8. Are you kidding me?
Top 8. Let's go. We had like I had the profile that had like one. You can scroll because it was so cool. Like it's just one page there. Whatever. You couldn't see the music board because it was hidden.
Damn,
like that was right. Cool. Whatever.
We were all computer programmers. Like before we even knew that was a thing.
HTML codes.
Yeah, HTML, M'd, everything.
We had the gangster SpongeBob in the back with the bling bling and like some kind of rap music happening.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly.
We made this. Yeah. We created our own monster, and here we are.
Here we are. We came out on the other side.
Yeah,
though, so
we're both millennials,
high five.
guys.
We came out on the other side.
Fucking barely, you know what I mean? we're crawling right here.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
We're millennials, so it's like I do know that like when I was in middle school. And like going into high school, that was such a big thing. Like, you know what? And then you have that in your mind when you're a teenager. I gotta succeed at 21, 22, 23. Right. So let's see how fast I can like get this going. You know, it's dangerous. It's so dangerous. Social media sucks when it comes down to like body image and stuff. And then there's people these days now that like oh, this is the real me. So real photo. And then
The like expectations
post.
versus reality, or like expectations versus
Yeah,
Instagram,
it's
or
like
whatever.
real versus
Yeah.
Instagram.
Right,
You know what I mean? They show
right.
themselves. And it's
I
just
think
like,
that's so important.
yeah.
To have that vulnerability, because social media is kind of the life that you want to portray, right? So when there's people that are really posting like, this is actually what I look like without posing, like
That's a big deal.
I love that. And I think it's huge, and I think it needs to happen more often. You know what I mean? Like, we need to shift that narrative of like everything is perfect all the time. It's like, no,
That's how I feel all the time.
there's shitty days. There's days that we feel better. There's days that we feel worse. And I feel like that's also what's kind of beautiful about social media, right? Is like you can reach more people at more and it's if you're putting that vulnerability out there, if you're putting that like people can connect with you more, and you're more transparent about these things. I think that's going to speak volumes to people like us when we were younger, where we would see these like perfect lives and we're just comparing everything. It's like, if we see that vulnerability, I think it would be huge in changing people's narratives of themselves.
It's still a difficult thing for sure. It's like you find it here and there, but compared to, let's say, a 15-year-old girl's Twitter, not even one thing, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, right? Pinterest. I don't know.
Tumblr's still a thing.
Yeah. All these different platforms.
Things. There's so many platforms.
Right?
There's so many.
And you look at this 15-year-old girl's like, feed, and it's just like, oh my God, like, are you okay? You want to hold them because they don't know any better. They don't know anything. And I think the biggest part of shaking that up for social media is just not having that, like, I don't know. I also believe that, like, it's based off like, oh, the money that we have too, and it's just like, oh, I look like this, but guess what, you had all this work done. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just like,
right.
No, like,
yeah, for sure.
I think it starts with us because we caused this mess. We fucking caused this mess, and then
we're responsible.
We're responsible. Now we gotta clean it up and just be accountable for the fact that, like, it's difficult. It's difficult.
Yeah. I feel like I have seen that though. I feel like a lot of people have kind of, this newer generation, not what comes after millennials. What is it? Gen Z, right? So all these Gen Zers there. I don't know what
do you have Gen Z people that are gonna listen to this?
But I really appreciate how this newer generation is more inclusive of like not being okay, and it's kind of more normalized. I feel like before it was not so openly talked about, and I mean, I'm speaking for myself personally, right? Is like I never talk to my friends about how I felt or like what I was going through. Like, I always just kept it to myself. And I feel like nowadays there's this whole like, it's okay to not be okay, right? Like, and I feel like there's a double-edged sword to that, because at the same time it's like, I feel like I have to be careful with my words here, but it's like you have to deal with your personal things. Like, you can't just base everything off like, oh, I'm just having like a bad day and like anxiety is taking over. Like, you can't give all of this power to anxiety or depression.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that, there's a chemical imbalance. There's things that are going on that are deeper than you. And like you sometimes, people don't understand, and that's why they fall into that trap. But at the same time, I feel like it's taking that responsibility of like, I am not going to let anxiety win. I am not going to let depression win. Like, I am stronger than that, and I need to learn how to cultivate the tools to get over it, right? Because it's not just like snap of a finger, just get over it. It's not that easy. I understand that. But at the same time, there's so many resources nowadays. Like, Google has revolutionized our world, right? Like, there's so many things that you can look up, and you can really try to just learn for yourself and like take that responsibility of like, I can do this. Yeah, I can do this. So
Chelsea, we're gonna get deep right here. You ready?
All right. Let me take a sip. I'm just kidding.
Show everyone at home. I am very curious because I come from sometimes an objective point of view with this, but I struggle with an eating disorder as well. I was in one for a long time. I didn't even realize it to myself until recently, like a couple years ago, right? That was happening to me. What define that for you. When you finally came out, I'm like, whoa, I'm messing myself up. What were your things that was happening to you?
That's when I started cutting myself. When I felt like I needed to punish myself for not being good, right? Quote unquote good. I felt like I needed to make my body understand that pain was a result of not sticking to what I felt was good. That was like the turning moment for me, like the defining moment for me where I was like, this is not healthy. Like, this is not great. And I think that
did you have other people?
So that's where I was gonna go. Actually, my sister, my only sister, she's like my best friend, right? She's like everything to me. And I don't know if this was weird, but like, you know, you sisters shower with each other sometimes. I don't know, whatever, growing up. And one time we were showering and I forgot, and she saw my scabs and stuff, and she's like, what the fuck? What the fuck are you doing? What is going on? And I felt so much shame and so much like embarrassment, and I just wanted to hide, and like I just wanted the world to swallow me whole so I didn't have to explain myself to anybody. And you know, she was really upset, and like she was like crying, and like I guess that kind of got me out of my own headspace, and I was like, there's so many people in my life that I love and care for, and that love and care for me. And seeing how much I hurt her was like, if you care so much about how you hurt her, why don't you care about how much you're hurting yourself? And for me, that was kind of the defining moment. Like, I need to do something because this is going down a bad path. And if I don't do something now, I don't even want to know where it's going to go.
You feel comfortable speaking about it?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. What were you doing specifically?
Like, to hurt myself?
In regards to like the way that you saw yourself and the food and like
so
things that you weren't doing or were doing? I
was very black and white. So I would go like, I would be super restrictive, and then I would binge like fucking crazy. Like, I would eat everything in the house, and then I wouldn't eat for days. Like, it was so opposite ends of the spectrum. And there was just no balance. There was no like understanding of what is actually good for me. I was very like dark and like depressed. And it's kind of funny because this is kind of when my love for poetry came out, and it's unfortunate that art and darkness kind of goes hand in hand sometimes. I'm just speaking for myself, right? I felt like I became somewhat enamored with the association of darkness and like artistry. Like, I felt like I couldn't have one without the other. Yeah. Like, I felt like there needed to be that dark side of me to be artistic. As weird as that sounds.
No, that's not weird. Yeah. Some people do it subconsciously.
That's how that's like how it started. That's where my spoken word poetry came from. That's where it rose out of, was my like quote unquote darkness when it came to like my personal perspective and eating issues. And so, you know, I can't say that it was all bad, because something good did come from it. It was understanding that there was like deeper levels to myself that are not so surface level that everybody could see. And I think part of me kind of liked having that part of myself hidden away, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, I kind of liked having like, you know, those nights where it's like, sure, it was like a terrible day, terrible night. I'm over here like fucking cutting myself, crying, like hating myself, listening to depressive music, writing poetry that's like a super dark and shit. But it's like, I don't know. It was something that made me realize that I'm capable of much more. And like, you know, the whole thing, like the rose that grew from the concrete or whatever, you know, it's like now my poetry, I don't write as much as often, but something good did come from that. And it was kind of just that mental strength, is like realizing that I didn't have to succumb to this disease, right? I didn't have to. And it's like, I feel like a lot of us that go through this, we personify it, right? Anna and Mia, right? You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like we make it a person, we make it an entity that has control over ourselves. We kind of like, we relinquish that power to them. We relinquish that power to Anna and me, and it becomes something outside of ourselves. But once I was able to realize that I'm the one in the driver's seat, and it's not so much this person or this entity that I created in my mind. Once I realized that, like, this is my life, nobody's gonna fucking save me. Nobody's gonna do it. Like, I'm the one that has to stop the bullshit and like kind of just get over myself and like put in the work to create these healthy habits. Like, once I realized that, and obviously yoga was a huge part for me, and like all these different like things, I think that's kind of what put me on a path to like heal.
How long did that take? How was like
the timeline?
the entire time? Yeah.
Let's see. So I would say it kind of started like 8th grade, like 7th to 8th grade years, kind of when everything started. Freshman year of high school was definitely the worst time in my life. Sophomore year was when I started the yoga, but I wasn't fully like healed, whatever. I feel like none of us are fully healed, right? Like it's a process.
Always at 99%.
It's a never ending. Yeah. And then my junior year was when I kind of started listening to like, I was like a little bit of a fucking pothead, to be honest. Like I started smoking weed. I started listening to reggae music, and something about reggae music really uplifted my soul. The lyrics were just so positive, and I just like wanted everything in my life to be good vibes and all that good stuff. And then like senior year was pretty good as well. And then college for me, I started getting into psychedelics, LSD, mushrooms, all of that good stuff. And I think that was kind of a turning point in my life because it uncovered a part of my mind that I did not know existed. And even to this day, I think microdosing for me was a really big play into being intuitive and listening to my body and like feeling what I'm feeling. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like sometimes it's like you think you know what you're feeling, and then psilocybin kind of enhances it, and so you can't not listen. Like, your body is screaming at you like, this is what you're feeling. And I feel like for me, that kind of was the turning point. So I'm gonna say like,
it's a long time.
A long time. Like, it was a lot of years. It was not like from one year to the next. It took at least 5-6 years.
Do you still struggle with these small things?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
How do you handle that? How do you handle yourself within
that just remembering that I have the power and taking the responsibility and thinking, to myself, like, well, you ate that terrible thing, but don't get lost in it. What are you going to do about it to make it better? Like, I feel like for me, it's like, if I eat terrible, like, it's because whatever, like, I don't even care about why it happened. I care about what happens next. And I feel like in the past, when something bad happened or when I was bad, quote unquote, I would just get lost in it and I would just get caught in the dark. I was like, oh my God, everything's terrible. I suck. I'm the worst. Fuck everything. I just went down. I just went down. And I feel like now, like, how I get over it is like, okay, yeah, you went down. What did you learn? What are you going to do next to make that not happen again?
Yeah.
So it's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
Then there's also a lot of stigmas too around EDs. And I was telling you the other day, like, I was just like reading a bunch of different posts and quotes and stuff. Like, a lot of it is very true. And I didn't like it. I'm such in my own world of my own ED where it's like, oh, okay, like, does anyone know what this is? You know what I mean? Right. Is anyone a stranger to this? Yeah. But then it's also with that in mind, it's not what it looks like on the outside. There's so many different layers. So many
layers. Yeah.
There's so many different pieces of this where you don't even know if someone's having a tough day because they haven't eaten, or maybe they have eaten too much, which whatever the fuck that is, right? It's not the same. And I feel like, I don't know if you know this, the statistic or anything of like people who have an ED.
I don't actually.
I was like, should I Google it?
Let's look it up.
Oh my God, do you have your phone?
What's Joe Rogan's assistant that he's constantly
no, but it's
reaching
like,
out to? He's like, pull it up on the screen.
So yeah, and a lot of it is also females A bigger percentage.
Yeah.
But then with that in mind, the male perspective
There is
comes
a lot
on.
of males.
Yeah, because we have that gym culture as well.
Right.
So it kind of like gets bigger once you have understanding. It's not just women.
Right.
Can you hear that, guys?
Yeah.
I'm jujuling this right now.
Jujuling.
Eating disorders affect at least 9% of the population worldwide. 9% of the U.S. population, 28.8 million Americans, will have an eating disorder in their lifetime.
20.8 million Americans. That's kind of a huge number, actually.
And if you think about where you work, you won't know, right? Who's going to come forward and be like, yo,
like 1 out of 3.
What do I do?
Like,
I'm struggling with this. And sometimes you don't know until someone comes forward. And
it's like, how often does that happen?
No,
it never. Honestly, it never happens. Like, say you and I, we never started talking, we never became friends. Like, we would have never known that we were going through this. Like, we would have never known that. We would have just been like, hey, what's up? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you just, right. Like, you just walk by each other. It's like, you don't know who's struggling. And I think that's a huge thing. It's like to be kind to every single person that you meet, because you don't know the battle that they're dealing with. Like, you don't know the kind of day they've had. You know, like, maybe you've had a bad day and you're taking it out on other people. Like, that's not fucking fair. That's your shit. Why are you gonna put it on somebody else?
Projecting?
No.
Yeah.
Projection is huge, and it needs to stop. So
breaking down the stigmas of eating disorders is very, very important these days.
I agree.
Because some people will go through something and not even know. That's what I went through. Like, I literally was like, I'm fine. Me being 114 pounds at 5'8" in high school, where like when that was my developmental years were very important, and I wasn't even like taking care of myself. And a lot of people won't know until like maybe years later, which is crazy. That's what happened to me. And then like when I look back on it, like, damn, no. It was not good.
And you know what's crazy? It's like, for some people it is subconscious, but for me, it was very conscious.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what was happening, and like part of me almost wanted it, because I felt like it's so dark, dude. It's so sad, but it's like I like craved people asking me like, "Are you okay? You look sick." Like, I wanted that shit, bro. It's fucked up. It's so fucked up. But it's like, sorry, I'm like spitting everywhere. I wanted that. What
is that called?
I don't know.
There's a name for those people.
There's a name for that. But like, it's pretty sad. It's pretty, like, looking back on it, you know, hindsight, it's like, you're fucked up.
Shit.
You were fucking yourself up, and that's the biggest thing. It's self-sabotage, right? It's like just wanting, you know, I don't know, maybe it's an attention thing. Like, maybe I just wanted attention. Who knows? Like, maybe it was something that like helped me feel more validated, was like other people being worried about me. Like, maybe it was like, it made me feel more important. Right. And like in hindsight, like, maybe that is what it was, but in the moment I didn't feel that way. It was just like, I wanted to be skinny and I wanted to be pretty and like blah 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 blah. But like, in hindsight, I'm like, you needed help. Like, you needed to be anyways.
Personally, I think your story is powerful. You know, personally, for everyone else that's going to be listening to this, thank you guys for listening. If you guys have been with us for this long, your story is like very powerful, because look at you. Like, people would be like not honest, like just assume like, oh no, like she's fine. Right. Probably grew up in a perfect house or whatever. Right. Like, and that's what. Go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead. That just brought something up. So it's like, here's the thing, right? Like, I did grow up in a, not perfect, nobody's perfect, but like, I grew up with my mom, with my dad, in a loving household with my sister. We were all super happy. Yeah. Like, I had the most perfect upbringing. I lacked nothing. Like, sure, there were moments where whatever, something happened. You know, everybody has arguments, but I really came from a beautiful upbringing. Like, I have no complaints about my childhood, yet I still went down that hole.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like, just because you came from a broken home or a beautiful home, that doesn't entail where you're going to go. It's literally what your mind comes up with. And like, I remember talking to my mom and my sister about this, and they were just like, why? Like, we tell you how perfect you are and how much we love you. Like, where did this come from? Like, they couldn't understand where it came from. And like, even myself, I was like, I don't know, but it's real to me, and that's all that matters in the moment, right? And so it's like, sometimes it's not where you come from, it's like where you want to go with it, right?
So another thing, I want to know if you're going to be like, thank you for being vulnerable, guys.
Yeah.
If you guys are listening, like, oh my God,
it's important.
Big credit. Like, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you
we
for.
can get even deeper.
I know.
I haven't even
Gone
all the way.
No, that's what's crazy about this, because there's people like this that exist, and this was what it means for them. Just someone to be like, I went through this too.
Right.
So
like, I hear you.
Yeah,
I see you.
That's very important. Being seen and being heard is very, very fucking important. Sure. So thank you, Chelsea. You should. I don't want to say should, but like, there's great power within that. With great power comes great responsibility.
I know. For sure. And like, honestly, I don't want to get too dark, but like,
get dark.
I had a miscarriage, right? And that shit fucked me up. But I realized how much it wasn't being talked about, and I realized how common it was. 1 in 3 women will experience a miscarriage in their life. And like, when it happened, I had so many questions for the universe. Like, why me? What did I do wrong? What could I have done better? Like, there's so many things that you feel like you did wrong. And like, over time, in my own experience, I understood that there's things that I just can't understand. There's things that the universe has a wisdom for that I simply cannot fathom or understand. And in hindsight, you know, it all happens as it should. And I truly put my trust in the universe and like the plan that it has for me. And so once you relinquish that trust, I feel like so many things can come from it, and so much wisdom. So many things can be learned from a shitty situation, right? Like, it was tough. It was fucking tough. I'm not gonna lie. And like, for a very long time, I didn't want to talk about it because I would get teary-eyed and like, I felt so horrible. Like, it felt like taboo almost. Like, I felt like nobody talks about this openly and like, it shouldn't be talked about, you know? And then it's like, one day it was actually, I can't tell you exactly the day, I don't have my phone, but it was like National Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day. And I was like, I'm going to make an Instagram post. I'm going to fucking talk about it. I'm going to tell my story. Yeah. And I got so much feedback and so many people connecting with me. Like, I've been through that. I know how you feel. It's like, it's something that still moves me to tears to this day, because it's something that's, there's so much power in collective connection, right? There's so much power in like just seeing somebody and hearing them and being like, I understand you. Like, even though I haven't been through it myself, I still hear you, and it's fucking powerful. And I feel like just talking about it reduces the stigma, reduces that taboo. Yeah. And I think that's so important, you know, whether it comes to eating disorders or miscarriages or whatever the fuck it is, talk about it. Yep. Tell your truth. Speak up. Talk to people. Tell your fucking story. Make people cry for people, hug people, whatever it is, like, connect to that person, and it will be such a healing moment for you and for that person. Even if you didn't expect it to happen, like, embrace it, you know?
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing all of that. Oh, thank you, Chelsea.
It's the wine. I'm just kidding. No, I'm a very emotional person.
That's a big
cry
deal.
For everything.
That's a big deal, because there's going to be a lot of people, you know, listening to this, and like, that is a big deal. You know what I mean? And you know, a big part of this podcast was underlying for me was the vulnerability. Yeah. And I was asking you these questions, and
ask me all the questions.
Here we are. It's working, guys. I guess so. No. It's good. Being vulnerable is amazing. It's not seen often, and it's something that I, as a person living in this 3D experience, I also feel like one of my missions here is to help people strip themselves raw. You know what I mean? Open that shit up. Open that can of
Yeah.
whatever it is that you've been
Yeah.
hiding for so long, because we all have something.
Right.
We all have something that needs to be free.
Yeah.
You know, because
sure.
in doing that, you free yourself. And
Exactly.
in doing that, you connect
Exactly.
with the other people in this world who want to do that
Yeah,
too. Like,
for sure.
who want to do that too. So never neglect your yearning to let that out, because I think
it takes courage.
no, yeah,
And
it's
other
not
people,
an easy thing.
Other people will get courage from you being courageous enough to say that. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough to talk about. Sometimes you just want to write it in a journal and forget it ever happened.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it's like, what good is that doing? You're just locking away a memory, rather than you could be this beacon of light for somebody
Mm-hmm.
that really needs it, and you don't realize that they need it until you've talked about it and they're like, holy shit, that actually happened to me. You know what I mean? Like, it's fucking crazy.
Every
like,
single person has that ability.
it's tough. It's
Whether or not they realize it and they live a long life without ever tapping into that potential, time will tell. Time is a factor of like, oh, maybe you were, open to these things when you were 20. Then maybe you're a 50 something who's gone through all these things, and now you just want to like let it out and be part of that group where let's change something. You know what I mean? Like,
and there comes that wisdom, right? That
yes.
wisdom with age. It's like, I can share my experiences, and it's like, and that's the thing that I want people to understand. It's like, you don't have to be 60 years old to share your wisdom with people. You could be 15 and you've lived through so much fucking shit. You have wisdom. Wisdom does not come with age. Wisdom comes with experience. So regardless of what you've been through, you have that capability to share and to help, feed that conversation, feed that vulnerability.
I think it's so important. I honestly think it's so important.
It's huge.
And like, it's also, again, I want to get into this too. Again, like, with this vulnerability comes with trust, and with trust comes with the right people. And sometimes, as
That's
unfortunate
true.
as it is, we surround ourselves with people that do not mean well.
That's true.
And
Unfortunately,
yeah, we can't meet perfect people all the time. Here's the thing. I was saying to myself this the past couple of weeks. I was like, like, I feel empowered to help people. And then it kind of clicked for me where I was just like, you know what? In my lifetime, I can't neglect like kind of like these anxieties meeting like people who need help. As a healer, you're not going to be meeting people at 100% ever. And that is a big click where I'm like, whoa, okay, there's a specific reason why this is happening and why this person is right here in front of my face.
Synchronicity.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like the universe will reward you for that.
Yeah.
And
they'll put people in your life for that reason.
Yeah.
Like, it's a higher wisdom.
there's a specific reason why we're here right now.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a specific
100%.
reason why we're here talking about
We're
this.
sharing our stories.
And there's specific reasons why we go through or meet negative energies or just having to filter through why we feel like that. We've been talking about triggers all week.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about
Talking about triggers all week, and it's such a conversation.
It is.
You know what I mean? It's such a
Yeah.
conversation. It's
Yeah.
so important, and I believe like when we have more of these conversations, it's less of a monster.
Yes, that's
It's
the biggest
less
thing.
of a monster.
It's all about, it's lessening the taboo. It's lessening the impact that it has on some person. It's like the more that you talk about something, the more you normalize it, the more it is okay to talk to other people about it. Like for me, when that whole thing happened, like that whole like miscarriage thing, like I didn't want to talk about it, blah 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 blah. And then like the closest people to me, my cousin, my sister, all these people, they all had the same experience. And I feel like if you're not a part of that inner circle, you would never know. And so when it comes to a stranger or a friend you've just met and you talk about these things, it lessens the stigma and it makes it more powerful to be able to share your story. And like I feel like that's why we need to really talk about these things, because it's like it's so important for other people like that feel like they're alone or like they don't understand why this happened to them, and then they get depressive and suicidal and like all these like negative things happen. But if you were to just have that one person that's like, hey, I went through that too. Shit happens. It fucking sucks. But guess what? Life goes on and we're still here and we're still fucking learning and we're still getting through it, and you can get through it too,
Here's the thing. We talk about positive energy, positivity, and like, let's do this.
Positive vibes. Yeah, good vibes only.
I stopped doing that.
Hashtag good vibes only.
I stopped doing that because I didn't want positive anymore.
I love bad vibes. I love real vibes.
Yeah,
it's real.
I
It's
want
like
real. I don't care about positive.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want real.
yeah.
You know, come across those people who are like,
sure.
you should be feeling that way. First of all, don't should me.
Right. Don't should me.
First of all, don't should me, because that's not the game that I play.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like,
For sure.
it's crazy. Like, so here's one story that I want to share. When my mom passed away, I had her life insurance. My brother and I split her life insurance, right? So we were, I want to say, set financially.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I had a few people in my life at the time that were like happy for me, and like that I got money.
What?
Here's the thing. I don't associate myself with them anymore. But here's a prime example of why it's so important, because like you wouldn't know. But anyways, yeah, no, my mom passed away and it was really difficult. She had money for us, me, my stepdad, my brother, because that was her plan. My mom was always like, oh, like, what if I passed away? What
Just
if
in
I,
cases.
you know what I mean?
Just
And
in
it was
cases
so
what if
sad.
is. Yeah.
It was really difficult to go through that. But me and my brother didn't have to worry in a sense of the material outside of our own emotions. So when we were grieving, I had not to worry about rent. I didn't have to worry about the car payment. I didn't have to worry about all these things. It was like, okay, like I can actually grieve, or like at least be alone. Or
You
at
have
least,
this.
you know?
You had this space to be able to do that process.
And money was not an issue for me. I had this person that I used to know in my life for a long time, 10 years to be exact, that had gone through very like all the ups and downs with me, because we kind of grew up together and we were in the same like band class and stuff. And like we played the trumpet.
Oh my god. This is a whole different subject, you guys.
No, but listen, like, yeah, I know this person for a long time, right? You best friend, right? Call him my best friend. This was something that like still gets me to this day. And so we're recording a podcast here. Some shit happened in the week, and he sits down. We're done recording something, and he looks around my place. This was literally almost last year to the date. Almost, yeah. And this month, last year,
8th February.
Towards the end of February last year, this is what he said. He was like, you know what? I wish I had what you had. And I stopped. And I was like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And he's like, you know, aside from circumstance, like, you were pretty much set. And
aside from the circumstance, sorry, but that's kind of the whole thing.
The whole thing is that my mom passed away for this, and you're telling me, aside from circumstance,
gnarly.
I wouldn't have this without that circumstance. I would trade it all.
Fuck yeah.
For the reverse. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
man.
That really hurt me, like, subconsciously, and I had to stop and think, and I was like, what? What are you talking about, you know? Yeah. And I didn't even know that I was triggered at night until the next couple of days later. I was going out with my friends to talk about everything that's been happening. It's like a lot of shit. And I told my friends the story, and they were like, hey, hold on. And they stopped me. And they were like, wait, what did he say? What was those words? And then everyone was just like, that's fucked up.
It is,
like, I was like,
bro, it is.
Like, it took me a second. I was like, wait, yeah, no, like, I didn't recognize the fact that he was invalidating it.
It was after the fact that
it was just like, it was like an invalidation of my whole entire circumstance and healing process of like, this is hard, but you know, you're focused on my money.
It was like, no,
that's cool.
Your mom died. It's not a big deal. You have all these things. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And from that point, I'd stopped talking to this person. I kind of focused on myself. And guess what? The next month, I had an interview for the job that we're at right now. Yeah. Great. So it was one of those things where it was just like, damn, like it is very important to, like, I don't know, I'm very into the dark sides of people.
Me too.
Because you can't like this, you wouldn't have this without that. And it's just like, you can't assume. Yeah. I think assume. I told you
not
this
everything
week,
is happy-go-lucky. Like,
assuming is my trigger. Please don't assume anything of me. Don't put me on a pedestal, because that gives me no room for failure. Yeah. And I'd rather fail sometimes, you know? So yeah, it's not this happy-go-lucky, like, oh, let's think this way, and then, oh, you should feel happy because you have this, because you don't have to worry about rent. Right. And I'm like,
be grateful for what you have. It's like sometimes I don't even want it. That loss is so much worth more than being grateful for what is current. Sometimes I need to go through that process to heal, to process it, to be okay. Like, don't invalidate how I feel about that and like get caught up in the surface level shit that's happening, because that does not mean shit when it comes to a whole experience that has been lost. So yeah, I get that.
No, now I just crave like real vibes. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
the real, raw. Tell me what's wrong.
Yeah,
like tell me what's going through your head. Like
I feel that.
You know, like tell me if you want to like punch the wall.
Yeah,
like do you want to go
for sure
get food or whatever? I don't know. Like it's just those things that is very important to me. I'd rather have a real conversation with people now than have like, oh yeah, no, but like I'm feeling good about this thing.
Yeah,
it's just like
great. How's the weather?
Don't talk to me about
Fuck
weather,
you.
please.
Fuck you.
Fuck the weather.
And here's the thing, like this is like, I mean, it's not super off topic, but like there's something about strangers that is so magical. So remember I was telling you about my 10-hour journey back from Brazil to Las Vegas, and I met this guy that sat next to me, and I bought his jewelry and blah 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 blah. Like, we were talking about the deepest shit, like about my dad's diseases and his shit with his dad. I'm like, I don't know this man. I'm not going to be friends with him after this flight. Like, there's something so magical about having a stranger's presence and just being your fucking self, because it's like you don't have that like stigma of like who I should be, right? It's like they don't know who you are, who you should be, whatever. Like, you're just fucking raw. You're just fucking real. Like, be who you, and I feel like that's something that we need to learn to be with every single person that we meet in our life. We need to be like unapologetically ourselves and being like, yeah, I've been through shit. This is how I'm feeling today. Like, this is how it's going. Like, fuck you. Like, I'm not going to try to pretend that everything is perfect and everything's happy-go-lucky and what you see on Instagram is what's real. Like, no.
And then it's time to like recondition our brains to not think of what everyone else is feeling. Like, it's like, you know how people get uncomfortable? To retrain our brain to be like, I don't give a fuck if people are uncomfortable right now.
I want you to be uncomfortable, bitch. I want you to feel.
Then it's also like, why do people feel uncomfortable though? It's real.
Right. It's because life. It's something that's not talked about often. That's why they feel uncomfortable, because it's a taboo and it's something that they're not used to. And so I feel like I say our as like the collective personification of a healer. Like, I feel like our goal in life is to make people understand that shit is shitty sometimes. Like, I know that sounds super simple, but it's like stuff happens and stuff is terrible, and like talking about it makes it better. And like, for me, that's the best way that I can heal, is to talk about something, to cry about something, to really feel that something and be able to move on from it. I'm not just going to shove things in the jar, shove things under the bed and pretend that they didn't happen. And then
that's called suppressing emotion.
And then like 2 months down the line, something happens and you remember and you're like, oh my God, you break down and cry. Like, no, like, I want it to happen. I want to feel it. I want to be real with it and like hold space for it. And once it's over, it's over, because I was able to work through that. I was able to heal from it, and it's fine. You know?
That's our journey. Like, that's our responsibility to retrain our brain. Yeah. You know, it starts with us.
It's unlearning.
Yeah. It's conditioning ourselves to do something else that we weren't familiar with before. And it's so important. And mental health is so important. And in terms of physical health, everything, all encompassing.
Of it. It's all, and that's the biggest thing. It's all connected. It's all connected. You can't have the mental without the physical, without the spiritual. It's a circle.
Emotional.
And that's what that's what holistic healing is. It's seeing it as a whole. It's not, symptom management. It's like, oh, just fix your brain for the day, fix your body for the day, fix your food for the day. No. It's all one thing. Yeah. It's all connected. And if you don't see it as a whole, you're just going to be stuck in this like Band-Aid upon Band-Aid upon Band-Aid upon Band-Aid until you're like, I don't feel okay today. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, well, if you were to step back, take a step back, just take a step back and see everything as it is as a whole, then you'll kind of understand like, there's work I need to do here, there's work I need to do there. And like, that's something that we do for my integrated nutrition health training. So there's something called the circle of life, right? And there's 12 different aspects to it, like career, finances, home, eating, physical, whatever. And we ask, and it's like lines, right? So it's like you have all the things. It's a circle, and then you have like a center dot, and then the outer 12 dots. And so you plot your dot on your personal satisfaction. So like outside of, like on the actual circle would be like 10 out of 10. On the inner dot would be 0 out of 10. And so we have people plot their satisfaction in each category. And then after that, you connect the dots, and then you kind of see your circle of life and what's out of balance.
Yeah.
And then you can really see, like, the goal obviously is to have the full circle, but having that visual representation of what is lacking in your life is huge.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people don't sit down to think about it until it's like you have to literally plot it out as a map. And then you see it and you're like, I should really look at my finances. I should really look at my social. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like a visual representation is huge. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
So after this podcast, we're going to do Cat's Circle of Life, and then we'll
wanna do that?
We'll update you guys on how it goes.
I do want to do that. No, so we'll keep going. I feel good about this. Okay, so Chelsea.
Cat.
That is your real name.
It is.
I also wanted to mention a few, like, all right, so vulnerability is a big thing. Let's talk about the opposite side of the spectrum here. Boundaries. Boundaries. I've been on this too. I grew up with it's called the fawn response, and my environment was unpredictable. So then I had just to cater to everyone that, I had to cater myself to everyone so everyone would be cool. In that way, my boundaries get overstepped, or like I don't put up boundaries for myself easily. Okay. So I've been working on that for myself. To just be like, all right, so what do I have to say no to? Why am I uncomfortable?
Right.
What do I need to say yes to? And how can I best like adjust to that? You know what I mean? Can you tell me a time where your boundaries were overstepped? And why?
Oh, man.
Why did you feel that way?
So, big disclaimer, I have a really shitty memory, so this might take me a moment to think of.
Says the person who's
being,
like...
boundaries being
That's
overstepped. Oh, man, I'm so bad with like questions on mine. Just blank. I'm sorry.
Talk about your boundaries. What do you say no to? What do you say yeah to? Outside of the vulnerability.
What do boundaries look like, right? It's kind of like, I think
what does your intuition tell you?
That's what I was about to say. It goes back to intuition, right? It's like you have to be intuitive on what you need. And so, there's been times where it's like I have a friend asking to hang out, or like they want to go to a bar, or they want to go do something, they want to go drink, or they want to go whatever. And I'm over here just like, not feeling great for the day. Like maybe I feel like I should go work out, or like whatever, just something that would make me feel better, like something more creative, like maybe I want to make jewelry or whatever. And a boundary is just saying no without feeling bad about it. And not having to over-explain yourself.
Yep.
Because that's something for me, I constantly feel like I need to explain to everybody, like, oh, sorry, I can't. I have this, and that, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, you have to understand, like, you don't need to explain yourself to every single person. Like, you have to just kind of honor yourself, and sometimes just not feeling like it is okay. Like, sometimes you just don't feel like it. And like, sometimes I would just rather be at home creating or writing or whatever it is. And like, I just don't feel like going out. I don't feel like being bombarded with all of this external energy. Like, sometimes I feel like I need to be more reclusive. I need to feel more, and this has happened, is like, we'll all have days where I don't feel very in tune with myself. Like, I feel like I kind of let myself get watered down by my environment, because our work is very overstimulating.
Yep.
And there's a lot of stuff going on all the time. And I feel like sometimes I kind of just let myself get lost by that. And then I go home and it's my time for myself.
Yep.
It's my time to recharge. It's my time to understand like how I'm feeling, what I need. And then I get an invite like, hey, come out with us, blah, 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 blah. It's like a boundary looks like saying, I can't tonight, maybe next time.
Yeah.
Right. And it can be as simple as that, is just being like, I just don't feel like it right now. I just don't want to. I'm sorry. I just don't want to. And like, That's totally okay.
Yeah, I often feel like people have difficulties understanding what the boundary line is, where it's just like where you're pushing.
They feel pressure.
Yeah.
They feel pressure from the other person. Like, I have to do this because if I don't, then they'll think I'm lame or whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
you know? It's like, no. No.
Yeah. I was people pleasing. People pleasing.
Yeah, that's a huge thing for people for sure.
But now it puts itself together. I
Yeah.
don't have to like question it. You know, if I don't want to go, then I'll be like, nah.
Nah, I'm good.
Nah.
Nah.
It's so weird getting older
Right.
that you mellow out and you realize like all these things.
You're like, for what?
You mellow out and you
Yeah.
start realizing that, damn, why was I everywhere when I was a kid? Why was, you know what I mean? Like, how did I think that 21, 22 I was going to have $1 million or whatever? You know, like be successful.
Yeah.
Something like, I don't know. But like age also puts that in perspective.
Right.
But age is not the defining thing.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
For sure. Yeah, you can't just have these like specific brackets of success, right? Like you can't just say when I'm this, that's going to happen, because life is an ebb and flow. Life is learning about yourself and learning about the world, and what you might think when you're 15 might not be what you think when you're 27, right? So it's like there's this give and take of life that I feel like as you grow older, you understand, and you kind of learn to have that humility to say like, maybe I'm not where I thought I would be 5 years ago, but for what it is now, it's okay. Right?
Detour. There's this guy on YouTube that I watch. His name is Clark Kegley. And he's...
How do you spell that?
Kegley. Kegley.
Got it.
I was watching a few videos of his, and a big thing that he puts into perspective is like detours of life. He was talking about how he wanted to be a drummer for a long time in college, and he was trying to get auditions and just doing the thing, posting videos, and nothing happened. Doing the damn thing, nothing happened. Yeah,
Damn.
If you work hard, it should happen, right?
Right.
No, his belief is that time and life will give you this amazing opportunity to experience yourself in the way you need to before the opportunity is open for you.
Yeah.
So then he goes through this weird, like, transformation, this, what is it called? Like, I guess, awakening of himself and starting to tap into his higher power. And lo and behold, he gets a contact from someone to play drums in a band that he's been, like, a fan of for a long time and go on tour. That happened 10 years after that. Yeah, it was just a story. I was just like, whoa, that's 10
years after, though, right?
Exactly what I'm saying. Crazy. But he got a chance to tour as a drummer in a band and go to different countries and stuff. So that to me is always in the back of my mind. Yeah. But like, just because you want something now, it doesn't mean it's going to happen in time for you right now.
Yeah. Just be open to it.
Right?
Opportunities come and they go, and you just need to be open to it.
How do you handle failure?
I handle failure as viewing it as a lesson. So I feel like before, when I had my more unhealthy ways of thinking, I handled failure as a different type of lesson, as a lesson that I wasn't good enough, that I didn't try hard enough, blah, 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 this narrative, right? You're never good enough. And I think now I handle it as, what can you do better? What can you do differently? What can you learn from this that next time it won't happen? And so it's like, for me, failure is just another way. It's a different perspective. It's seeing it in a different light. It's seeing it as like, you failed at whatever, but that could be just another pathway for you to see something differently and approach it differently next time. And so failure really to me is not failure. Failure to me is progress. Failure to me is just understanding and learning and continuing on your path, because I see everything that happens in your life as part of your journey. And whether or not you thought it would be there 10 years ago, or whether or not you think it should be there, it is a part of the journey. It's a part of the lesson that's happening, you know? So you can't see something as a roadblock. You have to see it as a tool. Yeah. And it kind of mirrors with yoga. A lot of people, when they're first practicing yoga, we use blocks, we use straps, we use, all these different props. And a lot of people see that as a limitation.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm not good enough, so I need this block or I need this strap. And it's like, no, not at all, actually. This is a tool for you to tell your body how to create the shape when you're not, because, you're not there yet sometimes. And sometimes you do need that prop, but it's not a bad thing.
Nope.
It's just trying to teach your body a different perspective and trying to help yourself understand that and instill that on your own physical being. Like sometimes it's like, it's hard to say like, I need help, but sometimes it's like, you've never done it before.
Asking for help.
So of course you need help. Like, like you've
Yeah.
never done it before. You can't expect to be perfect the first time around. Like sometimes you need that elevated whatever to get into the shape. And so I feel like by taking that perspective and applying it to my life, I'm like, I don't see it as failure. I just see it as a tool to understand and to learn and to grow and evolve from it. Yeah.
What has been the biggest thing that you've learned, like in general? This is a big question. This is big.
That's
big. This
very,
is a big
that's
question.
very
This is a big
general.
question. Yeah, this is a big question. So, what is one of the key points of the things that you practice, the things that you do, the who you are as a being, and what do you take? What is the, if I could wrap Chelsea up in a little page and have a little like note, this would be you. What is the thing?
Be adaptable. Just learn, just understand that evolution is evolution and time takes time. Like, I know that sounds so stupid and silly, but it's like, be adaptable and know that, like, what is your tagline? It's like, what is meant for you will not miss you, right? It's like, it's trust that your pathway is your pathway, and everything that happens along that journey is put there specifically for you to learn, to understand, to adapt, and to evolve. And so for me, it's really just taking everything as a lesson and understand that everything is happening for you and not to you.
Yep.
There's this victim mind of like, why is this happening to me? It's like, it's happening for you. So you can see a different perspective and learn and understand how to deal with it in the future, right? So it's like, yeah, my biggest pearl of wisdom is to realize that life is an evolution, life is a journey.
Yep.
And sometimes it's shitty, but sometimes it's fucking beautiful.
And you can't have one without the other.
You can't have one without the other. It's the black and the white. It's the high and the low. It's the trough and the crest. It's the wave. It's the particle without the wave. Like, you can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
It's all a flow. Life is a flow. Life is a journey. And that's what makes it worthwhile. It's like there's so many different perspectives and so many different things you can learn about along the way, about yourself, about other people. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's good. We can get into it. We can get
it's
into a lot of these different things.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No.
Can we hold hands?
Yeah, can I see your hands? Can I see the depths of your lines?
Are you going to read my palms right now? Oh my God.
So guys, she has deep lines.
This is exciting.
It's very basic, actually. I know nothing.
I'm basic.
So, no.
Wow,
I know nothing.
I'm a basic bitch.
I know nothing. So she has deep lines. That means that she has a lot of sentiment in the things that she does.
Oh my God, I'm so emotional.
Look at me. I'm the same. So I have like very deep like defined ridges. It's because there's a lot of sentiment.
Interesting.
And yeah. You can always tell if it's very like faint lines. You're like, should stay away from that person. They don't really.
Hey, we're not judging people.
And then you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Can you see your hands? That's why I feel like that.
Let me see your tongue. Don't look at your poop.
Okay, can we close it with that? So Chelsea's so sweet. She'll care about you so much that one of the first things she'll ask you is that, do you look at your poop? And when you say no, it's like this.
Wow. Wow.
She'll judge you on that.
You are not in tune with your body. Got it. Noted. Okay. I'm just kidding. No, but honestly, guys.
Tell me the story. Why? It's so funny.
It's been 10 years since Kat hasn't looked at her
I don't want to look at my poop.
I literally cannot stand it. Like,
I think it's 10. It could be more. You're probably going to get mad at me. I haven't looked at my poop in a long time.
That's crazy to me.
I don't look at it, guys. I think it's
how
gross.
can you be in tune? How can you be in tune with who you are without knowing what comes from you?
The basis of this
basis of life, the building blocks of physiologically evolving.
You're
like
determining my self-worth with the shit that comes out of my butt.
No, it's not. It has nothing to do with worth. It has everything to do with intuition and understanding your body.
She can
and being connected to your body. You're not connected to your body if you don't know what comes from it. I'm sorry.
So cute.
I'm sorry.
She's such a good friend that she'll go on a tangent about you looking at your poop, guys.
This is so stressful.
Let me know in the comments down below if you look at your own shit.
You please.
And if you don't, give me a thumbs up because
no,
not everyone's
no
going to
thumbs
be
up. I hope there's
poop.
no thumbs up on this video because I need everybody to look at their poop.
Also in that pearl of wisdom that is Chelsea, make sure you look at your own shit.
Yeah, that's it. Look at your tongue, look at the whites of your eyes, and look at your shit. And that's how we're going to end because those are the 3 factors of health that you can see without going to a doctor. And that's all that matters.
Chelsea, you're incredible in the best way possible. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for all the stories, words, amazing energy, and lessons that I hope people walk away with something when they listen to this, and I hope you get feedback on this if people have listened. Guys, if you like this podcast so much, don't forget to subscribe on Spotify, iTunes, here on YouTube as well. Hit that like, smash that like button for me. And subscribe for more content.
Smash it.
Dish. Get the shit out of it. Follow me on Instagram. Chelsea, plug yourself. Go ahead.
Journey to Santosha. So Journey, Journey, to Santosha. Santosha is the second niyama of the Yoga Sutras. So it basically means contentment. So the journey to contentment, the journey to happiness, right? That's what it's all about. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. This has been Cat Attacks Live.
Thank you, Kat.
Wow.